it's a bit of a rarity, but last night I made plans for today. Plans to shoot a video so that you could see what I'm up to. But before we do that, let's just go take a little drive in the car. Okay, I admit, that's not what I expected, and I staged this. As I said, I had plans. Part of those plans, though, had nothing to do with my plans. They were the usual plans, taking Michelle to school in the morning. And when we got in the car, as usual, I get in, I hit the starter button, and this car went apeshit. That's all I can say. It was flashing, and the lights were coming and going, and alarms were going off in all different patterns, and the board was flashing, and the radio was coming on and off, and it was giving me all sorts of things like, God, put the parking brake on before you get out of the car, and I can't detect the key, and the 12-volt battery is low, and all sorts of shit. And you couldn't turn it off. I mean, you couldn't turn it on, if that makes sense. In other words, the car wouldn't start. But then you also couldn't stop it from making all these alerts and beeps and things. And I mean, even we'd get out of the car and walk away, and the car is still sitting there with the lights flashing. And it was very bizarre. And you can in the Prius, you can kind of hear the electric pumps raising and lowering the hydraulic pressure and stuff. And I mean, it was just trying to do all sorts of stuff. And I was trying to take Michelle to school, so I had to call Chuan. She had to come home, and I've got her car here. I took them to school and dropped them off. And I was hoping to recreate that when I just came out here. That's what I was planning to do, and it didn't do it. It just kind of bleh. And it only gave me the one warning that said the battery is low. So I think the battery needs replacing, and so that's on for today too. Alas. Which that's probably a pain in the butt. I haven't looked it up in the manual yet. I just found the page when Chuan got here to pick us up, so we'll see. I'm going to do my other thing, though, because at least that's interesting. So you have to ask yourself this question. How long can a life be disrupted just from one random incident? Well, I'll tell you. No, I have no idea. Oh, years. At least 2 years now. More than 2 years now. Because I'm talking about, once again, when that car drove into our house. Now, I'm not saying this couldn't have been resolved earlier, but I have not replaced my desk. Now, my desk was not destroyed by the incident. My desk was destroyed by, it was old, and it had been moved several times, and it was a huge desk, and I don't know if any of you recall it, but it was a great big surround desk, and it was over there where the bookshelves are, in that far corner, and it just had been taken apart, put back together. It was falling apart. It did not survive one more disassembly. So maybe I could have passed that off as damage, but I didn't, because to my mind, that's dishonest. But, I wouldn't have had to move it if they hadn't smashed the house. So in some respects, it is legit, and in other respects, it isn't. And I opted to not. But I have been working since then off this foldable table here in the office. And of course, this is the table that's in front of my green screen there. And I did get myself a nice new chair. The old one just was so bad. Just got rid of it. But anyway, I've been making Michelle do her homework in here lately because she's kind of struggling, and with some of her English assignments. She just hates writing essays. I understand. But anyway, and I need this table as the weather gets better because I'm going to start doing some work outside, and I need a workbench that's bigger than just my vice grip table thing. So it's time to replace it. So last night we went to IKEA. I've had my eye on a desk. I've had my eye on a desk that raises and lowers so it can be a standing desk. Now I had a standing desk at my office, or I had a desk that was at standing height, and I had a regular desk, and I had two different computers so I could switch back and forth between them. And occasionally I didn't mind using the standing desk. I think, you know, there was a big craze about it for a while, and then now that's dying down, and there's like, man, I'm not really sure that's that whole bullshit about, oh, you're losing years of your life if you're sitting down at your desk. I think they figured out that that's just horseshit. However, there are times when a raised desk was nice, when I was having back problems or sit down problems. So having one that can be raised and lowered, I think I'll like. And I also think it may have some benefits for doing work, for shooting videos here in the studio. So I went ahead and got one at IKEA last night, and I'm gonna put it together today. And that was my whole plan for today. Had nothing to do with the car, but now we're gonna do it. Well, it seems I have a midget's desk. So apparently it can go quite low. And yes, I know this is kind of normally reserved for having it reversed and placed this way. And that's one of the reasons I got the desk with it on this side, was someday I might want to turn it around. But for now, actually, I think I'm more likely to be looking and facing this way in the room, so I'd rather have the computer over here. So that's why I've got it this way. So now the question is, if I push the button, does the desk go up? Yes, it does. Now, I just wish I knew what was the right height for a desk. I think so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out what standard desk height is, and I'm gonna put a mark over here on the wall, because who knows what sort of horrid carpal tunnel inducing syndrome I'll get if my desk is 1/4 of an inch higher than standard desk height, or 1/4 inch lower. So that's this. Now let's take her all the way up. And I do think I'm going to move it just a little further away from the wall. It's awfully close over there. How high can the damn thing go? I hope it can't go high enough that it falls over. So I better stand up because, you know, it's a standing desk. That's it. This is the limit. And this is too high for me, even on a standing desk. That's about right. Let's go get the computer and put it on here. I'll worry about plugging it in later. Let's see. I think, which way is this going to go now? Well, there's no choice. This one only has ports on that side. Never mind. Silly me. So, USB ports. Typically, plug that in. That is way too far back. So, bring the computer out like this. And I might even put a separate keyboard on it. Yeah, all right. I could go grab one of my keyboards and put it out here, and then I could put the computer back. Or I could get that big monitor I really want. Except, see, this is not the computer I use. So I may end up putting this over there anyway so that I can use my proper computer here and I could put the big screen. And if I put a big screen here, I could still put this computer over there and I could hook a keyboard to it and use it anyway. I think we're good. Hello there, over the desk. I'm a small child. I can't even do a small child voice anymore. And down we go. Plus, I think it's got this thing I'm going to pull out, which is a cheap piece of plastic doweling, which they gave me too, because I bet, yeah, it's a lock to keep the kids from screwing around with your desk. Okay, I'm on board with that. Of course, I guess it depends on what height you keep your chair at. Anyway, I think this is going to work out really well. Now I have to deal with a car. Or lunch. I could deal with lunch. It's only 20 minutes. Tough choice. I like the sound of lunch. Let's see, I'm going to need another cable tie up here to keep these up off the floor. How is it that of all the days in Arizona, the day when my battery goes down and I have to muck about with the electrical system, it rains? Did my electrical system go out because it knew the rain was coming? Humidity or something? I don't know. Anyway, check the manual, it says the battery's dead. It probably is dead. I mean, summer and batteries 2 years old. Arizona. It's probably dead. I've got it on the charger. I've had it on the charger for hours. And I haven't received a notice yet that the battery is no good, which, as I recall, this charger does. And it has charged up to 97%. So I'm just about due for my 25,000 mile checkup. I'm thinking if after this charges, the car will start, I'll take it for a little drive around the neighborhood. And if that's adequate, then I'll schedule the appointment tomorrow, if I can, and take the car down and drop it off, and they can give me a ride home. And then they'll go through it, and if it's just the battery, well, they don't cover that, so I'll have to pay for it, but they can put a new battery in. And if there's something wrong with the charging, then they can fix that. So, all told, I think that's the plan. Yeah, I hate cars. I hate working on cars. Just can't stand it. But sometimes, no choice. And yet, I'm able to get it to drive. It gives me the warning about the low 12-volt battery, and then if you try to start it again, it comes on and it says it's ready, and it seems to be working. And I don't want to drive it too far, but I am going to just drive it around the block a little bit. And there was something I read in the manual, I'm going to go back and read it again, that said something about you may have to try to start it twice after a low battery situation. So maybe when it perceives a problem with a battery, it insists on a double press to make sure that you're aware that you're running on battery fumes. Not sure there. So last night I took my car on 3 test drives, and it started each time. The first time I pushed the button and it didn't start right, but it flashed some lights. Then I pushed it again and it started. When I came back, stopped it, started it again, and it didn't start, but it didn't do anything weird. It just didn't start. Then I pushed the button again and it started. On the second trip out, I came out, got in the car, pushed the button, and it just started like it should normally. And I drove it around. This time the lights were on because it was after dark. Came back, pulled in, started the car, started normally. Came back another hour later, tried it again. And when I returned that time, I think it started normally that time too. No, I had to push the button twice. And then when I came back, I had to push the button twice again. So now this morning I'm gonna try it after having set all night. And we'll see what it does. And then no matter what it does, I'm not driving anywhere. I'm gonna put the charger on it. The charger will tell me how charged the battery is, and we'll see how low it is, assuming it even starts. That's more like yesterday. And I don't know if you can hear this. That kicking noise is the brake pedal. Did you hear that? Brake override. Did you see that? Okay, not liking those noises. I'll have to go back and analyze that tape, but I'm sure it caught something about brakes on there, and it was kicking the pedal at me. You know, you have to depress the pedal to start the car, and just kick, 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 kick. It was a very strange feeling. I'll check that first, then I'll put the charger on it. See what it said. So the situation is this. It's Friday now. It's been 2 days since the car malfunctioned. I was able to get an appointment at the Toyota dealer because it was about due for its 25,000 mile service anyway. And I told him about the battery situation, and knowing that I could charge the battery up and drive it a few miles, I knew I could get to the 4 miles to the dealership. So that's what I did this morning. I've taken the car down there. To my delight, it turns out even the ignition battery is still covered under the everything warranty. So it will be a free repair, along with them checking out to make sure nothing was damaged when the battery went kerblooey. So that's good. I decided to walk home the 4 miles. It's a bit hot, but it's a lot cooler this week. It's, I don't know, about 90 degrees. So it's not pleasant, but it's not 110. I've reached Shake Shack, which I'm going to give my second try to. First time, not impressed, but I'm going to give them a second go. They open here in just a couple minutes, so I'm kind of hanging out in their parking lot. I'll eat, cool down. I've gone about half the distance home, and then I'll pick up where I left off and get home and just wait for the call. And I have my wife's car at the house, so I'm not stranded, and I can run a few errands as well. So I am literally one house away from my house on the opposite side of the road, and crossing over. And so it's been 73 minutes of walking plus whatever time I was sitting at I'm on my property now, when I was sitting at the Shake Shack, and the phone just rang and my car's ready. Now that is brilliant timing. Got my car back, and I'm home, and the tactical display on the car is different than it was beforehand. I'm able to change the units on the car from miles per hour to kilometers per hour, which I've wanted to do in the past when we went to Mexico, but it wasn't an option. I don't even know what these things are. I mean, there's kilometers to miles per hour unit, and I can change it, and it changes the odometer and the speedometer. And then there's the clock setting, which obviously that's still set correctly, so that seems fine. And I don't even know what this one is. Press to set minutes. And then there's meter customize, which I don't want to go into, and vehicle settings. And that's what I get when I'm over here on this one. So no messages. That's definitely a different display.